Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money in the Law at MyFM 101.3 with your host, Jay Marsden from the Marsden Law Group, John Drohan from Main Effort Financial. We're also joined once again graciously by the Hollison Cable Access TV, Christian Bidet, the Hollison Cable Access TV representative here at Money in the Law. Jay, how are you today?
Oh, how could I not be? After Thanksgiving, fantastic holiday. I think one of my all-time faves, because it's a holiday with no commercial consumer pressure. It's speaking of commercial and consumer pressure. Hey, Ray.
Ready to start?
Yeah, we
Look who's
started.
here.
Yeah,
Get in
yeah.
here.
Ray's
Get in
in
here,
it.
kitty.
Ray's in it.
Yeah.
Hey, Merry
Christmas come early. It's like Santa read my list.
Oh, my
Can I
God.
have
I just
Ray
came to
for
remind
Christmas?
you to mention that because I'm actually supposed to be there right now.
All right.
I just had to come back here
To make sure we
Get
say something about it.
Wait, we're not
back
stuck-
down to Target now.
All right, you get down to Target.
Ray is down manning the bus at
Why
Target.
are you asking is Ray a target? I'll tell you right now, because on Saturday, today.
Yes, right
today,
now, right
now as you're listening, from 8 o'clock till tomorrow, Sunday at 2 o'clock, they are doing their second, I think it's the second annual Stuff a Bus. What is Stuff a Bus, you ask? Ugh. I mean, whoever came up with this idea is probably a little bit crazy, but at the end of the day, this is what happens.
You know what we should do? I was sitting around talking. We should stuff a car. No, let's stuff
No,
a box.
no.
Let's stuff.
It starts, no, it doesn't start there. It starts with, we should do something. We
Okay.
should do
All right,
something
you're going
for
way back.
Christmas.
All right.
We should do something for kids, kids who may not have
We
good
want to help
Christmas.
out. We want to help out.
We want to help out. The Marines do that Toys for Tots thing, right?
It's caught on. It's caught on a little bit.
So
There's
they
some
do that.
popularity behind that.
So maybe
yeah.
we'll get some toys. All right, we needed some kind of, we need a way to get the toys to, I know, let's use some sort of transportation. I don't know, what do kids like? They love the bus, right? They love riding back and forth to
Do they?
school.
All right.
Some kids do.
I mean, I did, but go ahead. All right.
Right? I got an idea. Let's fill the toys up. Let's fill a bus up with toys.
Well, I was reading your notes here, and it says apparently now I know it's bring a toy or two, but it reads like bring a tot or two. And I'm like, what are we stuffing in the bus?
It's on my
We
notes.
stuffing? Yeah,
I
okay.
never
All
left-handed.
right.
All right, so what they're doing, what WMRC is doing is there's going to be a school bus parked outside of Target from today, beginning at 8 o'clock, so it's already there, to tomorrow, 2
p.m.
o'clock, 2 p.m. Bring down a toy, unwrapped toy, or you could go into Target and buy a toy, bring it, come down.
Let's make it easy.
Come down, and Ray Ray is going to be down there, and you give the toy to Ray. Ray will probably take a picture with you. I don't know, there may be some Santa representation down there as well.
There might be some holiday
Right.
representation. Yep.
Tom
Yep.
McAuliffe may be down there as well. I'm pretty sure he will be. And their goal is to try and fill a school bus up with toys for underprivileged kids.
Now, they
So-
did it last year. Right? So what did they
What are
collect
the
last
numbers?
year?
What are the
Ballpark?
numbers? Show me some numbers.
Last year, 3,000 toys, valued at over. So I feel like I'm on. What's that show? This is this prize valued at just over. That was.
The Price is Right?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. This prize valued at just over. So last year, $60,000. They raised just $60,000 of toys
Right.
to help underprivileged kids at the time of the year that you want to try to do as much as you can. And what station does more for their community?
My
There's
FM
not one. My FM 101.3, right?
My FM.
That's right.
My FM.
That's right.
That's
By the
your
way,
FM?
My FM giving back to your community.
That's
That's
right.
what these guys do. That's what they're all about. That's what makes these guys great.
That's how they roll. So come on down, bring a toy, help stuff the bus. Actually, probably if you bring a really big toy, that could help them get to their bus capacity. But it can be any size. It doesn't have to be the size. Doesn't really matter.
Doesn't have to be in the shape of a bus, right? They'll work it out. They'll work out the geometry down there.
You
Don't
have to
necessarily
stuff a
worry
bus
about it.
with a bus.
That's right. That's right. It's not bus-shaped toys
that's
or
not
anything
a
like
bad
that.
idea.
Yeah, like
That's not
that.
a bad
Yeah, all right. That's another. That's a whole nother.
All right.
Another game.
So before we were so graciously interrupted by Ray, you were talking about Thanksgiving. Please continue.
No, it's my
'Cause
favorite.
I-
My favorite holiday.
yeah.
It's my favorite. Without the, I mean,
Wait
think
a
about
minute.
it.
Wait a minute. You have so many favorite.
I do.
holidays.
I do. And they're all for different
He
reasons.
says
but
it every holiday. You know what? Memorial
St.
Day.
Patrick's Day, my favorite holiday. That's right. That's right. All for different reasons. All for
I
different
love
reasons.
Halloween.
There's
My
a different.
favorite-
There's a different emphasis. Not a huge Halloween fan, but not a different. But you know what? Thanksgiving is it's what they're selling you, right? I mean, it's really the only true delivery mechanism of what you're supposed to be seeing. Putting aside for 1 second that that the lead up to Thanksgiving is like There's always somebody, if you're at a track meet and somebody goes early and they fire the gun twice because somebody took off early, and there's always somebody who comes out early with the, oh, it's going to be a December to remember, right?
Yeah.
Spend $80,000 to buy your significant
Well,
other a Jaguar, right? I mean,
Right.
that comes out a little early. All of a sudden, it's snowing when it really shouldn't be snowing, but they do that early. But Thanksgiving, if you get to it, it's family, friends, food, football, all the F's, hanging around, just relaxing and enjoying your time with each other. No one's worried about a gift. No one's worried about, did I get you the right gift? Is the sweater going to fit? Is he going to like the isotonic gloves? None of that. It's just about being together, having a good time, yucking it up, telling stories, and spending how you should spend your holidays.
I couldn't agree with you more. I truly love
why
that.
we work so well together.
I love Thanksgiving. So where did you spend your Thanksgiving?
So we spent Thanksgiving with we swap back and forth, right? Every year, you get the multi-family thing going on. So so last year we spent it with my family. This year we spent it with my wife's family, and my brother-in-law is in Franklin, so we zipped down to Franklin and had just a fantastic day. He's a great cook. They put on a super spread. And just again, you bring people together and you sit around and you see what happens, and it really works out well.
You know what my favorite part of Thanksgiving is?
The day after.
Friday.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Friday. The day after Thanksgiving, because you're right. Thanksgiving, if you play your cards right, depending upon
It's
what
a
you
5-day holiday. You get the Wednesday before.
You get a Wednesday. That's
right?
a wash,
it's
right?
a complete wash.
Wednesday's a wash.
Thanksgiving, you wake up, you're like, wait a minute. Today's Thursday. I haven't put up a blessed thing that I got to take down in 3 weeks, and I don't have to unwrap anything, and my wallet still feels a little heavy. And guess what? We're going to have the day off. We're going to eat a great, great spread, and then tomorrow, guess what? I'm also off, right? For the most part, most folks, right?
I took the day off.
I took the day off, right? And then what happens the day after that? You're still off.
Yep.
And then, that's
No,
right.
the day after that, you're still off, and you're like, oh, I got to get ready to go back to work. Oh, no, I don't, because it's Saturday.
Yep, put your suit coat back in the car, right, because you have to go anywhere. So you're like, oh, my God, this is great. And I say this every year, really kind of insane, right? Unless Christmas falls the right way, inevitably, right, December 25th, you're sitting around the table, and you look over at somebody, and somebody goes, you working tomorrow? Right?
Yeah.
You're working tomorrow?
We've said this
Why are you
before.
working tomorrow? Why?
Right.
Oh, that's right, because the holiday is
course,
over.
yeah.
It is over,
Yeah.
right? For the most part, it's not, unless Christmas falls on a Saturday where you're like, oh, this is awesome. And by the way, every time it does, people are like, what a great holiday. Why? Because I had
I'm off
Christmas Eve,
tomorrow.
I had Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
I had Christmas Day. If Christmas Day falls on a Friday, Christmas, it's awesome, right?
If
Saturday
Christmas
and Sunday.
What if Christmas Day falls on a Thursday?
Oh.
And then you can kind of you do the same Thanksgiving thing, right?
Yep. So they should. If anybody's listening, they should move it.
This is by the way, this is our post Thanksgiving after action review show, which is pretty much what we're going to be talking about today. So because I want to keep talking about it. The other cool part so let me tell you what we do. So on Thanksgiving, it depends. Like some people have stuff scheduled. Like there's a football game. There's a high school football game in Massachusetts. So if you're kind of if you're one of those people that goes to the game, you got a game on Thanksgiving, and that's fun, right? That's fun because it's in the morning.
Yeah, your friends.
Right?
Yeah, sure
right?
it is.
And so if that's your like
and if it's a home game, it's even better. You're like 5 minutes to the school.
Right.
It's fantastic. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So that doesn't change it. So in our case, we always go to my mom's down in Cape Cod, and so there's no football game. There's nothing, right? There's nothing happening. So I can remember, this Thanksgiving, I went to bed on Wednesday night in my pajamas, and then I was in my pajamas until Friday morning.
Oh, of course you were. Sure you were. Yeah.
Because we didn't have any other company coming over, so there wasn't a dress up for dinner or anything.
Nope.
No, it was just that. The other cool thing is, that we do the polar bear plunge, right?
Yes.
So the polar bear swim. So the greatest thing ever happened last year. So it used to be religiously we had to do it on Thanksgiving morning, and that was kind of the one event you had to do that would get you to dinner. And it was work, and it was cold, and it was miserable, and nobody wanted to do it, but you do it, and it was kind of like your rite of passage to be able to eat the Thanksgiving
Yeah, you've earned it. You've earned it. Yeah.
So last year, my brother who had just recently had his son couldn't make it on Thanksgiving Day, so we said, well, you know what? Let's postpone the swim until Friday. So now instead of it having to be on Thanksgiving morning, because of last year's, we were allowed to do it on Friday. So this year, when we looked at the weather and we said, wow, Thanksgiving morning, -2 degrees. Friday morning, 20 degrees.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, 45 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
We said, well, you know what? As long as we do it inside the window.
Let's move those chains. Yep. Can I get a ruling here on the applicability of us? Yes.
And the rule and sustained. Yep.
Yep. All in favor say aye. Yeah. There's no dissension.
And so the swim this year was much more enjoyable than it would have been if we did it on Thanksgiving morning. In fact, it was almost like a early June day.
Nice. Oh, it would have felt like
We almost went back in.
Yeah, compared to almost went back in. Yeah. So robes on the beach, is that how it works?
What's that?
Robes on the beach down there for the pool.
Well, it's we sweatshirts and everything.
Yep,
I mean, we don't go down. We don't have any. There's no bathrobes, but everybody's all bundled up. And the funny thing about it is there's always people that are just happenstance be on the beach, walking their dogs and stuff, and they see us, and there's 10 or 12 of us, depending upon the numbers that come down, and everybody starts like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And then there's no wetsuits or anything like that. It's bathing suits, and so Chloe and Phoebe, they go, so it's and they're like, what are they? Are they real? They're really doing that, and then they do.
They love it. That's great.
And then people film it, and they're kind of a celebrity for a little while. And
I bet.
Then they forget.
Yep, and it's over, done. That's right.
It's over and done.
Get that cool body temperature back up. That's right.
That's right. Hypothermia, shake that off.
Yeah, that's right.
Get on with your day.
Yep. Pull them, throw them in the car. Yep.
So I don't know. The one thing I will say about Thanksgiving is, for me, it's the kickoff to the Christmas season.
Yes, I agree. I agree. It's the gateway. It's the gateway.
And as much as commercialized as Christmas is, and what Christmas has kind of evolved to from when we were kids, right, and even before, I don't care.
Yep.
I'm all in.
A lot of people love the season.
I'm all in. And Thanksgiving, but the one thing that does stress you out is like Thanksgiving is when, like you said, there's been some lead up to it, a couple weeks, right? So you start thinking, wow, I need to shop, I need to get.
But I'll tell you, what's taking over, I feel, unfortunately, is the pressure for the Black Friday piece of it, right? That's the part that somebody this week, I was talking to somebody, and they were concerned that they missed out on all the great deals and the opportunities that happened on Friday. And I'm thinking to myself, but that's not what it's about, right? I get it.
But it becomes that way, right?
But it does become that way. And it wrecks the vibe, because to your point, you say to yourself, I don't want to get up on Friday and feel like I have to go to the mall because my only chance to get this deal is today, right? Just to give it away, to get things going. It just kind of it steals you really got to you got to have some real intestinal fortitude to not be pulled into that, or to not say, oh, you know what, we're not gonna go to the mall, but we can jump on the web and we can all sit here in the house and not communicate because we're all on our own device shopping, right? I mean, again, right, wrecks the whole vibe.
It's a task. It becomes a task, right? It's another task that you have to, and then you're kind of, depending upon kind of what you're looking for. Let's say there's something that you really want to get, and there's a limited supply of those things, right? Say, I really wanted to get my kid, like a red unicorn frog.
Deal on the new iPhone, whatever it's going to be, right? Yeah.
And then they're gone, right? And then you're like, now you're stressed. Like, what else? What am I going to get?
Yeah, how much money? Then you do a math in your head. How much money I leave on the table by spending time with my family, right? Wasted that time.
Yep.
I could have saved money. I could have saved $200 instead of spending time with my parents, right? God, I'm not doing that. It's crazy, right?
Or the other side of that, the other side of that coin, the other side of that curtain is, what if your Thanksgiving was not spent in a happy, joyous manner? What if your Thanksgiving was spent in such a way where you had some dysfunctional family get together?
Maybe you talked politics. Maybe politics came up.
Maybe you talked politics, or maybe you talked about estate planning. Maybe the subject of, wow, what's going to happen with mom's house when mom decides to move out of that house?
Maybe a gravy boat was tossed at somebody's head, right? Or maybe mom already passed away and everybody gets together thinking, well, you know what, this could be, we'll have Thanksgiving in the house. This is what we're going to do. We're going to pull it together, right? And then during the discussion, somebody knocks back a couple of cocktails and decides to come up with the idea of, I'm not leaving. I've been living here my whole life. You guys should just give the house to me. And then it gets fun. Then it gets really fun.
It's funny you say that, because this just past week, we had that exact scenario happen at Main Effort Financial.
Really?
Yeah. The exact scenario of, hey, you know what? This is Maybe this would be a good time for us to talk about it, since this is the only time that we get together. So
let's take a break that we're long overdue for, and then we'll talk about that when you get back, case study wise, from an anonymous perspective, and how we would
long overdue. We'll be right back on Money in the Law, My FM 101.3, Holliston Cable Access Television. We're on TV and the radio at the same time. We'll be right back.
And we're back, My FM 101.3, Money in the Law. He's John Drohan, Man After Financial. I'm Jay Marsden, Marsden Law Group. Christian manning the con. We're just wrapping up a conversation quickly about the holiday festivities of Thanksgiving, talking about how much peace and goodwill is out there in the world when you're sitting down with your family over Thanksgiving dinner, and how it can change on a dime. Or it can change
on a dime.
Based on, 2 fingers of whiskey. Either way. But it can change. It can change fast.
3 fingers, leave the bottle.
That's right. That's right. No cubes, ice on the side.
Before we get into that, I just want
Ice
to
on the
show
side.
one thing. So this right here is the Christmas calendar. This
Nice.
is the Christmas calendar that for 2018. Before we leave today, I want to make sure that you and I put our Christmas. Aren't we having some kind of a Christmas like after action review?
We should do that.
Yeah, in the
we should
season.
We should do that.
We need to put that on. I need to put that on my calendar before. It reminded me when I pulled this out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about this. I don't know once. If we talked about it once, we talked about it 100 times on the show. How the whole concept of money can change a family dynamic in the blink of an eye.
What?
Yeah, it
What?
does. It'll change.
News to me.
It'll change how siblings who now granted, you have brothers, you have sisters. I have brothers and sisters. Like everybody who has siblings, if you have a reasonably good relationship with your sibling, you understand that this is a long relationship, especially for an adult. It's a long relationship you've had. You've known these people as long as you've known anybody in your life, right?
Well, and not only that, you've known them when you weren't cool. Because everybody thinks they're cool, right? But they know the non-cool you, right?
Oh,
they know
you.
They know all your secrets. They know where all your bodies are buried, all the bodies are buried. They know everything about you that you don't want other people to know. They know it, right? That you can tell anything you want about your family knows everybody, the jokes, the inside stuff, all the stuff growing up. They know it all.
And that relationship, leads to a closeness that you will rarely get with anybody else. I mean, you may have some lifelong friends that you may have lived near like through your whole life, or your spouse. You spent if you're married for a long time, they will get to know you.
Sure.
But remember, your siblings knew you before those people, right?
They know you before you are who you are today.
Yeah, they've dated whatever relationship you had. They have dates on that. Like my sisters, my brother, they've known me long before.
Yep.
I met my wife, long before my kids showed up. Like people I'm really close to. So this concept of having this kind of like you can't replace this relationship and have it be changed or affected or altered or scarred or whatever you want to say over a whatever fill in the blank amount of money.
Right.
You'd say, well, that's preposterous. Why would I do that? Why would
I throw this away?
Why would I throw that away or change what I have? And again, you may not have a good relationship with your siblings. There's many people who don't. There's many people who are like,
Sure.
you know what? I don't talk to my brother because for whatever the things I know about him or our interactions that we've had, whatever. But for many of us, you have wonderful relationships with your siblings, right?
Yep.
I mean, and many of us have like irreplaceable relationships. Like I would never want to change my relationship with my sisters or my brother because I value it so much, right?
Sure.
So then you get into a situation for whatever, the fate, the fate of life takes you to a situation where there's a money situation, or there's something that you were going to disagree on and it has to do with money. This is where I've seen it, you've seen it just as much, or if not more, where people can all of a sudden change, and their attitudes and their perception, their priorities all change, and the result could be, yep, you may make more money or get more money out of it than your sister or your brother, but what's really going to change, what you're going to really get out of it is a different relationship than you had before.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Money makes people weird. Family dynamics around money make people weird. Because everybody comes at it with their own baggage. You're talking about, yes, you know each other as kids growing up, and you know each other's, all the things that go along with that. But then now it's a new dynamic, right? Because now you're introducing this outside element. and you're introducing it to people. Everyone's at a different stage in their life.
Yep.
So that's where stuff happens, and this is where stuff gets off the rails.
So in our example, the situation is there is a family with siblings that are in, let's say they're in there between 60 and 80, right? So
Okay.
so there's siblings. We'll say there's 4 siblings between 60 and 80, and one of the sibling and their parents have passed away. So one of the siblings lives in the parents' house,
Yep.
which is now worth, let's say it's worth $1 million, right? And they've lived in that house for many years, and many years could be 20 years, could be more. So
Sure.
they've been getting their mail there for 20 years. It's
Yeah.
their house. Now, do you think that they're paying rent, these people, or that particular person?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
They're not, right?
Yep.
So what happens is now in our situation. So now, and let's say this house is near a beach. Let's say this house
yeah.
has some other it could be a destination for people where they may want to go because I can walk to the beach from this house. There's a beach house.
Yeah.
So if I'm there, or let's say if the person that lives there, and then the other siblings, since my, let's say if it's me, my father's passed away, and now it's just me and my siblings, and my brother lives there. Let's say my brother lives there, but now it's like my kids. So let's say my kids are older, my
Yeah.
kids are grown, right? My kids they don't really feel like going, when Uncle Jeff is there, right?
Right,
If Uncle Jeff's there, then we'll go see him, but we're not going to go stay over.
Yep.
We're not going to go take our kids there, right? Like if I have grandkids.
By the way, as much as you're told to, oh my God, make yourself at home. I know you're saying that. I get
Yeah.
it, but we're not going to do it. It doesn't feel that way. Yep.
Yeah. So but then let's say let's say I have a sister, and let's say my sister lives 5 miles away, 10 miles away, and she goes there all the time. She's happy to go see Uncle Jeff. Her kids are happy to go and stay with
Park
Uncle
the
Jeff.
car on the driveway,
Yep.
get out of the beach, use the beach sticker. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly, right? So in her case, the house, this is a great situation. This is working out great. And in my case, I'm like, no. It's not working for me. And more importantly, it's not really working for my kids, right?
Yep.
So my kids aren't. So what am I getting out of this? So let's talk the numbers, right? So let's say I'm 25% beneficiary
Yeah.
of said $1 million property. Tell me what I have, estate planning attorney.
Well, you do some math
Analyze
here.
this. Do this case for
And
me.
there's no math in law school, but so you're on the hook for a potential $250,000 interest in this property.
Yep.
That you're sharing amongst your siblings, and like everything, you may be in for a 25% ownership stake, but you're not getting 25% of the ownership piece of it. The question that we always ask is, what's the expectation for maintenance and upkeep?
Yeah, so let's say that maintenance and upkeep is paid for the most part, by my brother who lives there. Let's
Okay.
say the maintenance and upkeep is like, you know what? He lives there. He pays the heat
Pays the
bill.
insurance bill.
He pays the insurance. I don't think he pays the taxes because that's a lot. That's that.
Well,
so-
taxes would be a big chunk of
Yeah,
dough, right?
So
the
I think the
expectation
taxes.
is
I think the taxes may be coming from my father's estate, right?
All right,
So
all right.
so the taxes
because
kinda
there's
get-
some money left over.
There's a little bit
as
of money
long-
left over.
Yeah, so as long as that continues, but effectively, if that money's coming out of dad's estate, it's coming out of your pocket.
Exactly.
25% of it, right?
That's right.
And so,
Right, so because the estate's been settled, right? The estate's been settled 5 years ago.
well, yeah, in a lot of cases, sometimes the estate never even had to get settled. In a lot of cases, they just happen to be an account that somebody was on, and they since have passed. And the idea was, oh well, I left 20 or 30 grand in this account to just manage the transition until the 4 of you guys decided
Figure it out.
what you were going to do with the house. So nobody has to reach in their pocket to pay a property tax bill, but the expectation is not we're going to use all the money to pay the property tax bill for 3 or 4 or 5 years, which is probably what's happening
Yeah.
because nobody's asked the question. Nobody wanted to bring it up. Well, what are we going to do now? So
Right.
now somebody has to actually reach in their pocket. Now it's go time.
Then-
Now it's
then-
go time.
Well, that's right. So we're not there yet, right?
Yep.
We're not there where it's like, okay, hey, now everybody needs to kick in $5,000. Whoa. Then it becomes because you made
Oh, then it's real.
because you made a great point, is that everybody's at different stages of their life, right?
Yeah.
So in the perfect world, right? In the perfect world, if I don't want any more, and I have this $250,000, I would call it a $250,000 interest in this property,
Yeah.
and my sister wants it, and my brother wants to continue to live there, like they want to keep the property.
Absolutely.
In the perfect world, I say, okay, I don't want this anymore. It's not working out for me. I have a potential taxation, right? I have an estate taxation that my estate could potentially, pay if the house gets sold or what have you. So I'd like to be bought out. I'd like to be
Absolutely.
I'd like to be bought. That's the path of least resistance. So if everybody's got a million,
It's so not uncommon, by the way. Somebody goes, look, guys, I get it. My and Dad had a great beach house, and when they were down there, we went down and visited them. It was awesome. They're no longer with us, unfortunately. So-and-so uses it more than I use it. I'm just really not that into coming down, either because it's not my thing, or
maybe I live on the other side of the country.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely right. Or I just don't want to come down and keep doing the which bedroom is yours and where. I did it for a little bit of time, but it's time to make a decision. It's time to move on. We got to figure out what we're doing. And to your point, and everybody always says the same thing, guys. You can have it. All right, just write me a check for $250 in this case, and I'm out.
Yeah.
It's all yours. Right? You're all in for a third, a third. Fantastic.
Right.
Go get 'em.
And then if it appreciates to $5 million,
you own
knock
it.
yourself
Yep.
out. Yep.
Yep.
You're buying me out today at the current value of this house.
Yep.
So in that respect, that's the easiest thing to do. But let's say nobody can do it. Let's say, which is probably even more common, is that the fact that no one's got the money to buy out, buy a $250,000
Which is
house.
absolutely common as you could possibly imagine, where everybody goes, I love owning the house, but I can only afford to own it if all four of us own it.
Yep.
And if you want out, that makes it not workable for me. Yep.
Yeah, because I can't afford, we can't, even if we take a loan and get a mortgage on the house in order to pay out, now all of a sudden it's something I have to pay for.
Yep.
It's another bill that I have that the three of us are going to share. And again, back to your point, like, okay, now we have to pay out of pocket. Whoa, this was great when I didn't have to pay anything.
Yeah, it was great when Mom and Dad were paying the bill.
Yeah,
Now
it's
they're
great.
not. I'm not into
It's
it.
great when Uncle Jeff was paying the electric bill, and that was the only thing we worried about, and he cleaned the gutters.
Yeah.
But other than that, now it's like, okay, so if that's not an option, let's say that's not a feasible option, then it's like, well, what do I do now? Like, what do I say? Because and here's where we talked about, in the beginning of the show, we talked about, is it worth it for me to kind of because now you're talking about making some, and it's my right. It's my right to I've a quarter of that property is mine.
That's
so
right.
now it's like now put the estate planning aside. Now it's like, okay, how much is it worth to me to kind of push the envelope on this and make this happen?
Yeah, well, you bring up a great point. I mean, at some point, exactly what you just said is what happens, right? At some point, it's Mom and Dad's house, right? And oh my God, and there's some emotion tied to it. But then there's some distance that gets in there, right? And the distance gets in between, like, Mom and Dad died 2 years ago. Mom and Dad died 2 months ago. Now it's been 2 years, it's been 3 years. Now it's
let's call it 5 years.
all right, so
let's
it's
say 5 years,
so,
right?
So now, unfortunately,
We
for
got
lack
some
of a better term,
standoff, yeah.
well, and now it's just a house, right?
Yep.
Yes, it was Mom and Dad's house, but you know what? I'm not. The memories are changing now, right? Because I'm further away from the sandcastle with Mom and Dad part of it. Now it's into the. I've built up this savings account of slight, tiny aggravations that just keep filling up the bucket, right? This is what happens, right? You wanted to get out for the 4th of July weekend, and you didn't realize that so did everybody else, and then they brought 2 friends, and then they brought 2 friends.
Right.
So you thought you were going to go down.
Your 4th of July looked totally different than you imagined.
That's right.
And you
so that's
drew
right.
it up.
That's right. So that gets frustrating. And then you wanted to get down, another weekend in August, and your brother happened to be there that week with some friends, and so that week didn't work out. And then at the same time that you were just told, so now that you've had 2 bad experiences where those might have pulled you over to the good side. You just got hit with the water heater bill, or the tax
roof,
bill just came up, or the roof just came up, and so now you're saying to yourself, this is how it happens, right? Now you're saying, look, guys, conceptually I wanted to get into this. I wanted to get behind this idea. I tried to use the house 3 or 4 times this year when I thought it was going to work out for me. It didn't work out for me, and then I just get handed a bill for $6,000 for my share of the roof and the landscaping and I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. And then the answer is stop. Oh, no, don't worry about it. No, we'll make a schedule, right?
Yeah.
So now everyone's going to get on a Google Calendar, and you're going to either draw names out of a hat or you're going to fight for now you're going to start to try to pull these things together. This either comes together easily, or it doesn't come together at all.
Right. There's no real in between. It's either like and because what it is everybody has to make some kind of compromise, right?
Yes.
So remember, in our example, Uncle Jeff still lives there, right?
yeah.
So there's the Uncle Jeff factor of that this is his house. I mean, this is his residence. This is where he lives. So if I'm going to say, hey, you know what, I want out and you guys can't afford to buy me out, then sell the house.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Uncle Jeff, find a different place to live.
Oh, and by the way, yeah, that's right. Oh, and by the way, not only do you have to find another place to live, Uncle Jeff, but you got to find another place to live that, let's all admit, is going to be a substantial downgrade from the lap of luxury.
Starting with the fact that you have to pay rent.
Right? Yeah. Well, first of all, the downgrade is that you got to pay. I mean, you got to own it. And second of all, it's not a 5-iron from the beach anymore, right?
Yeah.
You may actually have to move inland, right? You may have to actually move a little bit off the water, right? So, you know, this now you're not only are you wrecking his living arrangement, you're wrecking his lifestyle.
What's wrong with that What's wrong with a nice condo in Walpole? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
everybody loves that, right?
Yeah, I know. Beachfront in Falmouth, you know, you back and forth, you figure it out. And you're doing it at the time where, you know, he's already looking at the horizon, right? He's already thinking like, this is
He's
where
retired.
this is where I'm going to hang my hat. I can't make this move. And so, to your point, what usually happens is somebody suffers in silence, and let me tell you, as long as the silence lasts, it's great, but the silence isn't going to last.
Yeah.
All right?
And if it comes out on Thanksgiving, that's going to change your holiday.
Even better, especially with 3 fingers of whiskey on the table. You're like, you know what? I got to say something. I got to get something off my chest before we cut into the bird.
And it'll start with Jeff complaining about something, right?
Yeah.
It'll start with Jeff saying, yeah, we got to do something about this. This back porch is falling apart, and I ain't paying for it because, you know, right? Because now Jeff's like, hey, you know, the great thing about this is not only do I live here, but I also share the expenses with you, you know, with you guys, right?
You jamokes who are like, hey, by the way, just want to let you know, the dock, I got to talk to my buddy the other day who's at, you know, dockbuilders.com, you know, Stevie. Well, guess what? Yeah, the dock needs to be completely repaired. Myra and Dad never did it, right? You're going to throw it on Myra and Dad, right? They're in the grave, right? Myra and Dad, I told Dad years ago he should have done that, and he just never wanted it. So we need to kick in.
The whole dock.
Yeah, it's going to be 40 grand, new pilings. I mean, it's going to really enhance the value of the property.
Yeah, it's gonna jack it right up. And then if we had a boat, which we don't anymore, but if we had a boat, we could right up to
Well, you know what I'm going to do? A buddy of mine's looking for dock space, so I'm going to rent it to him, and then he's going to pay us, and that's going to help offset the cost.
And he's going to live here too.
Yeah, he's going to live on the boat, and he's going to use our hot water and our shower.
He'll mostly live in the house, but he'll be near the boat.
So this is where somebody turns over a table or whips a gravy boat at somebody's head and says, "Guess what, guys? I'm out. All right. I don't know how you're going to do it, but I'm out."
All right.
And then it gets ugly.
Take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll talk about ugly when we come back here on My FM 101.3, Money in the Law, the Marsden Law Group, a fine, established legal institution in Holliston, and Main Effort Financial, which is right across the street. Gosh. We'll be right back.
And you're back. Money in the Law, My FM 101.3, Jay Marsden, Marsden Law Group, John Drohan, Main Effort Financial, talking about the fun that dysfunctional families can bring to the table at Christmas time, and it's around a common scenario, one that John sees at Main Effort Financial quite a bit. I see it at the Marsden Law Group quite a bit. It's the old sibling living in Ma and Dad's house after Ma and Dad have gone to their great reward, and they don't want to move, but they want you to help carry the freight. Is what they want.
Well, and even if you're not carrying the freight, there's the fact of that. You have this property. You have an ownership in this property that you're not using, right? That you're not using. And so let's say you're getting close to retirement, and you're like, you know what? My retirement. I have my retirement planned out. I'm not going to. This house isn't. This isn't part of my retirement. However, the $250,000 that's worth it.
Yes,
that would be a great part. That could change my retirement, right? So that's found money, right? And it's not found money in like I'm waiting for my mom and dad to die.
No.
They've died 5 years ago, so now it's there, right? The money is essentially there. I own it. It's mine. Like that interest in my house.
Basically, it's the equivalent of holding 200. Your siblings or one of your siblings is holding 250 grand of your money hostage.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. It's got it locked in the basement. It brings in a tray of food 3 times a day. It takes care of it, but it doesn't let it out. It's your money, and you can't get at it. And you would never give anybody $250,000 and say, hang on to that for me. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Now, the argument is always what we talked about earlier, right? Oh, the house is going to improve in value. It's this, it's that. Well, guess what? the house could improve in value, but guess what? You can also lose the house, right?
Yep.
There could be a natural disaster, there could be flooding, there could be a winter storm,
Sure.
and all of the things that go along with it, you're on the hook for, right? You got to sign the insurance policy. You have to coordinate all 4 people owning this piece of property. You got to coordinate the rental, the tax payments, however easily somebody tells you that's going to work out, it's never that easy. It's like running a business, and you got to decide if you want to be part of this business.
And so if and it would be different, right? It would be different if, let's say, the house was a $250,000 house that you owned, right? And you owned it yourself, right?
Yep.
And you were like, well, I'm going to hang on to it. I'm not going to sell it because maybe I get some rental income from it. Maybe I'm just not ready to sell it yet. So it's an investment, and as with any investment, you run some risk with it, right? So but it's all on you. It's your decision. You're the one kind of controlling this.
Yeah, you're driving the bus.
The issue is that, so let's say, okay, I know I have a $250,000 stake in this $1 million house. I'm not getting anything out of it, but oh, by the way, my brother and my sister are getting plenty out of it.
Yep, absolutely they are.
So in that respect, now that's where it becomes an issue. That's where you say, okay, look, I don't even want to use the house. And you know what? It's not even going to affect my retirement. I'll be able to retire if I don't get that money.
Right.
But what's going to happen is but now I'm thinking about my estate plan.
Well, you think about your estate plan, but you're also saying I'm not subsidizing you. By the way, you talk about baggage and knowing people's lives. Like, this comes with baggage. Like, every one of your siblings is saying about the one kid who's living in the house who hasn't moved. Believe me, there's a bad feeling there. It may not be on the surface, but every one of those siblings is saying, that guy lived off Mom and Dad. Our brother lived off Mom and Dad for 20 years, never lifted a finger, never paid a dime in rent. Right. He should be sitting on a pile of money, and this move should not be a big deal.
He's got no kids. I put 3 kids through school.
Yeah,
right?
Guess what? I'm telling you right now. He has no money. He never saved a nickel, and he thought this was never going to come to an end, right?
Yeah.
The gravy train was going to go on forever. And before we run out of time, and I just want to make sure we touch on it because we've talked about the beginning. If all of this is unresolvable, right? There is a solution. Of course there is, right? You as the person who wants out.
You go down to 847.
You go 847, and we fill out a petition to partition, right? And we go into court and we say, Your Honor, we all own this property together, and one of us wants out, and the other 3 aren't willing to play ball, or 2 of the other 3 aren't really willing to play ball, and we can't figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, don't you worry. Okay?
Yep, the judge will figure it out.
Because the judge will say, oh, you know what? We can figure this out. And so guess what happens? The judge says, boom, I'm going to appoint John Drohan as the third party here who's going to manage this whole thing. And what he's going to manage is he's going to manage selling the property, and he's going to manage parceling out that money. And guess what? Guess what John doesn't do? John doesn't give a discount for his work, right? John says, we got to get this thing sold, so let me see. My fee is this. So that, by the way, that's always front of the house. That comes right off the top, right? Then John gets his friend who's a broker involved, right? He loves selling waterfront property down the Cape. And guess what he doesn't do? He doesn't give commission breaks because you know what? Because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to.
So he says, my commission's 6%, right? Yeah. So that's coming right off the top. So now everybody's check
just
to
took
get
a haircut.
A lot smaller, right? A lot smaller. And in the end, not only is it the check gets smaller, but the gloves come off because everybody feels like you are screwing all of us by doing this, as opposed to, no, I'm not. I just don't want to be part of this anymore, and nobody's giving me an exit strategy.
And that's that relationship piece, right? And I was going to bring up the point where, okay, so it's one thing if this were my situation and I'm like, okay, let's say that my brother and my sisters were getting more use out of the house, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet on this, and I'm going to say, look, I don't care. I don't need the house, but here's what I don't want to happen. What I don't want to happen is, so when the next generation comes, I don't want, this, which was my inherited legacy. What I don't want is I don't want to have my kids get way less out of this thing than your kids do, right? Because so your kids are like, oh yeah, well, we're going to keep this, we're going to keep it. I'm like, no. I'll suck it up to here, but when it comes to the next generation, that's not fair.
That's right.
That's not fair. And so for my legacy and my estate, that's part of my legacy and my estate. I'm going to make sure that gets transferred to my kids. And I think that's, in the situation of our example at work, that's really where I said, look, you got to kind of draw. You're not going to kick your brother out of his house, right? You're not going to do that, and you're going to kind of make that compromise. But at the same time, we need to address it and say, look, something has to be done when Uncle Jeff can't live there anymore.
Well, best case scenario, everybody agrees. You know what? We'll buy you out. That's the best case scenario.
You're right.
No question. That's the best case scenario.
And there's a bunch of different ways to do it too, right?
Yep. By hook or by crook, somebody comes up with the money, right? Whether it's a conventional mortgage, whether it's an equity line, whether it's a reverse mortgage, whatever has to happen, by hook or by crook, you get your $250, you walk away. If that's not going to work, the only other sort of slightly okay scenario is you suffer in silence, right? You say, all right, here's the deal.
Slightly okay because
right?
it's me.
Yeah,
suffering,
that's right. But you say, here's the deal, okay? Guess what? I'm not writing a check, all right? I'm not getting involved. I'm not paying any of the carrying costs. The carrying costs fall to you three, recognizing I'm not coming down. Now, you're going to close the door, right? You're going to say, look, I'm not going to just pop on, I'm not going to pop up July 4th out of the woods and be, hey, guess what? I'm here to go to the beach. If you're saying I'm walking away, that's fine. You say, look, I'm not writing a check. I'm not lifting a finger. Don't come to me for any money. I'll sign paperwork if you need to get an insurance policy, but I'm not kicking any dough. And when at some point you guys figure it out, I'll take my 25% of whatever it is at that point. Yeah. But I'm not lifting a finger. I don't want to do this. But in the interest of family harmony, I'll keep my mouth shut. But I'm not. And then the family has to say, all right, well, we're in a third on the ownership. Does it still work? I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Right. But usually there's some person that says, I'm out. There's some person that says, I'm in until they drag me out of here. And then there's a couple of on the fences, right, that you can sort of figure out which way it's going to go.
Try and figure, how is this going to work best for me?
Yeah, that's right. But but again, to your point, if this doesn't get worked out on the front end, and by the way, this could get worked out on the front end.
Oh.
Mom and Dad could have laid this all out in a trust that says, here's the rules.
Here's how it's going down.
It's our house, and this is our expectation. Jeff, you got a year, okay?
Yeah.
If at the end of a year you can't get another place to live, the house is going to get sold. All three of you are going to take one for the team. This is our wishes, and it's going to get sold to whatever get the third-party evaluation. And this is funny. Everyone comes to the same thing. Everybody says the same thing. Well, I'm going to make sure. I'm going to write it down. They get 3 appraisals. Well, you don't need 3 appraisals. You need to go to Zillow in about 8 seconds and get a quote of what you think your house is worth, right? So you come up with a number, but Mom and Dad can lay this all out. If you guys can't agree, then this is what's going to happen.
Sure. If let's say somebody wants to buy it. Let's say someone is in a financial position, they want to buy it. Like, oh no, I want this house. I want this house. And then you say, and then it's laid out in the trust and say, okay, if all parties agree that one of the siblings can buy them out for the fair market value, then the decision is made. And you could even like throw in some language, right?
Oh, I'd say we've put some language and stuff where we've said something to the effect of, if I make an offer to you, right? So you, John, you say, look, I want out, right? You make an offer to Jeff. I want to get out. I want my $250. I want to go. Jeff rejects your offer. It's an immediate counteroffer that you get to buy him out for that $250. So now you go, look, I really want to get out. I want to get out. All right, I don't want to pay your $250.
Bam!
All right, great. Guess what then? Because of your rejection, that's an immediate offer to me for the $250. Here's the $250. You're now out. And now I can get out.
And my house, be there Wednesday night because we're gonna go to the football game in the morning, and then Thursday we're gonna eat early. We're gonna eat about 1:30, right? Get in, so then we can watch the afternoon game.
Yeah, that's
After
right.
Thanksgiving.
That's exactly right. I hope you have a great time. I can't wait to see you this weekend.
See you next week, buddy.
Yeah, don't bring your toothbrush. You're not staying long.
And don't bring the dog.
That's right. Because you're not allowed anymore. So you can if you're gonna formulate this thing, or what you really do is you pick an independent third party, right? Yeah. You say, look, we're going to get a corporate trustee. Corporate trustee is going to make the decision. You guys can't agree what's going to happen in the house. I'm selling the house. At least if we do it that way, you'll all be bummed out.
Yep.
But you won't be giving this money off to some never-ending, it goes on, the saga, and a ton of money gets caught. You say, we wanted to keep the house. We couldn't agree on who's going to keep the house. We all got a check for $250, and we all went our separate
You'll be
way.
bummed out. And then you get a check for $250,000, right?
Yep. Cry, boo hoo hoo. Yep. Dampen your wipe back your tears with all those 50s. Yep, that's right. So,
all right, we gotta go.
We gotta jump. Good stuff. We gotta go get to the house that we're not gonna keep. Good stuff.
Get your Christmas, all your Christmas organization done right now. And don't forget to come down to Target, Milford, Target today or tomorrow. to stuff a bus. Bring a toy. You'll feel
Not
good
a tot.
about it.
Bring a toy. That's a toy.
That's
Bring a
it.
toy.
Now, don't bring it. Don't.
You can
no
bring your kids
tots.
if you want, but don't leave them
They're
at the
not
bus.
going to be allowed
Yeah,
on the
don't
bus.
leave them in the
They're
bus.
not
That's
going to be
right.
allowed
That's
on
right.
the bus. Right. All right. All right. So we'll see you next week. John Drohan, Main Effort Financial, Jay Marsden, Marsden Law Group.
Have a great weekend.
Make sure, like, when you listen to the show, it's just you need to listen to your lawyer, right? That's
Always,
I mean,
always.
how many people say, "God, I wish I should have listened to my lawyer."
I should have called my lawyer. That's right. That's
We'll
right.
see everybody next week.
Have a great weekend.